Hey everybody, it's Dan here. I am a photographer, videographer, drone pilot. If you can't tell from scrolling all up and down my feed, I just cover it all. I'm grateful for the things I do get to go out and experience and see. It's my job to just capture the moment and preserve it for everybody else in the world to just go out and, you know, find out what's out there going on. And need a new manager, but at the end of the day, it's me who has to make sure everything goes well and smooth for every client that comes through and every event that I capture. I'm grateful that I get to do weddings and commercial clients and everything in between, from the photography, the drones and the videography. It all kind of ties in. I call it my media triangle, with drones, the catcher at the top. I've learned so much in the field. It's crazy, and every day is a different kind of experience and just total over adventure. And I'm thankful that I get to bring you guys with me on that adventure and really sit out here in nature and talk to y'all like I am sitting on my favorite activity. That is why I'm in the woods and I'm sitting to you here talking to you on top of a dirt bike. I do my job in my career to afford these machines, and I get to bring my career right back into my hobby. I get to bring the drones out and fly them around people jumping through the air or wheeling. You know, it's a great life. I'm not gonna lie, I love it to death. It stresses me out. Just like any job, the biggest stress is finding the next client. Not only money, you know, because somehow you got to pay for the equipment and the bikes and living, like food, but it's finding the next different thing. I could go out and just make a whole career out of just doing restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, or wedding after wedding after wedding, or different. And that's why I love this job and this field. I get to do something different every day. So another big stressor is, what is the next best thing I'm going to do? And sometimes that really stresses me out, and it really puts me in a weird place, especially if I'm stuck inside and I'm just editing things I've already done. It doesn't make me feel like I'm adventuring or accomplishing enough. So when I get to go out and my creative flow going. So if you guys are ever stuck in a place where you don't know what to do next, just go do something different. That's the first step in doing something new, is doing something different, or doing something differently. If there's something that you want to get better at, but you've been struggling at getting better at it, just go out and do it differently. Try something new, and you might find new success. So I'm going to go over some of the things that I find to be a stressful or like rewarding things in my field. And if you stay for the entirety of the video, hopefully I don't fall backwards on the bike, because the kickstand is not doing so great, and I can feel us working into the mud as I kind of like bounce back and forth. And if you're like tuning in and you're wondering why like I'm keep looking down at these bars, I'll tell you a little secret. I'm running on a Sony a7 IV with a 70 to 20 or 24 to 70 lens on it, and I'm running the monitor app on my iPhone. So right here I have my iPhone so I can see if I look crazy or not, and if I'm in focus. So there is no cameraman. I literally rode into the woods on this dirt bike here with my camera bag and a tripod on my back, and through Philly. So I bet that looked kind of crazy. So I'm thankful to be out here with a great backdrop. This isn't a green screen. This is a real dirt bike. This is a real me. That's a real crick behind me. And create some media content. We're gonna talk about some frustrations, some fears, some dreams and desires of this field, whether it be a freelancer, you're part of a team, a photographer, a videographer, a drone. We're gonna cover it all. So just work with me because I got some things written down. I wasn't gonna remember everything because this has been like a week of planning to come and sit out here in the woods. I know it doesn't look like a lot of work has gone into this, but somebody put this crick here and that took a long ass time. Like, I don't even know, the production team told me it was a while before the crick was here, and then all these leaves, months. So just appreciate that. And then I just drove here. So but the notes didn't come together on their own. So one of the biggest things that I think is the only challenge that's never going to go away in this field, and I deal with it every event or every production or every time I use the camera, and that's lighting. It's the biggest hurdle, whether it be you're stuck inside a room and the lighting is terrible, or you're outside and the clouds are moving so the lighting keeps changing. It's really difficult to master lighting in every room when every room is different. You can master lighting, don't get me wrong. That is difficult to do too, but it is really difficult to get all the lighting in every room possible down. Just for an example, I live in Philadelphia, so like a lot of the work I do is in the Philadelphia area. Some Philadelphia area places are beautiful, immaculate, with grand ceilings. So I'm out here in the beautiful weather to talk to you about cameras, videography, photography, drones, all of it. I'm going to cover fears, frustrations, dreams, and desires, all really quickly so we get a whole bunch of reels. But if you stay for the full-length video, stay, you know, check it on out, okay? One of the first things, a frustration and a fear, is lighting conditions. Every place you go to is going to be a different challenge, whether it be the Franklin Institute where they have 40-foot ceilings, and an astrology show where they do the weddings. How do you tape somebody and an astrology show? That's two different kind of exposures. There's a lot to unpack there, and you only usually have 30 minutes when you get there to start unpacking that. So it's a little difficult, and that's a big stress. Another big stress is the cost of equipment. Today alone, Cyber Monday, I literally went out and just bought batteries. Batteries for my constant lights, my apertures, V-taps, you know, the average $200 a piece batteries. Batteries for my Westcott flash, you know, on average $100 to $250 batteries. Batteries for my cameras, you know, an average $50 to $150 if you want a D-tap on the camera video rig. And then, you know, some drone batteries, because those go bad after a year or two, and you really don't want it coming crashing down to the ground. You know, those are anywhere from $20 to $250. So just batteries, today I spent $1,000. Yeah, just batteries. Tomorrow let's tackle lenses. Another frustration and fear is picking out the correct equipment. Number one, very expensive. Number two, it's not as versatile as the marketing makes it out to be. Like, For instance, a Sony a7i IV is more of a all-around camera, photo and video. Not great at either, not terrible at either, but you know, good at both. And then the a7 IV, the flagship, great photo camera for high speed. And then you have the FX3 and the FX6, great video cameras. All of these cameras, $3,000, $6,000, $9,000. You got to pick. You can't just have them all. That's 20 grand, $30,000. I have a box that's just camera bodies that sits there. It just sits there. It's like a $10,000 suitcase. And only one thing can be used for one thing. That's the stressful part, is in order to do it all, you gotta just put yourself in like college level debt. I think the most stressful part about all the equipment is having it all and wanting the next best thing. You get so used to using the equipment you have, and then you see the next best thing, the next best lens, the next best camera body, and you're like, dang, that low light function, I really want that. That would help me in so many things. I personally have been battling the desire to buy a 200 to 600 millimeter lens when I only really use them once a year. And it's to take pictures of the moon, or like high speed races, or really far focal length events, where it's like, I don't know, a baseball game. Very rare that I cover one of them, or like more likely a motocross event, or like car event, where like you need that long reach to grab from the stands, or that viewpoint that they give you for the media. That's kind of like an upgraded stand. It's having the ability to figure out where your income is coming in and spending it on the equipment to facilitate that income stream getting bigger. So it is a tough argument. Sometimes it's like, well, if I had the 200 to 600 millimeter lens, job-wise, down from my first and second drone gigs, I put out a bid to the client, secured the job, was sent the deposit for the job, and then purchased the equipment or rented the equipment for the job. And that helped me build my massive just closet of equipment that I have. And sometimes, yes, the equipment sits and doesn't get used, but more times than not, I use the crap out of it. Whether it be like right now, the lens I'm using, it's not a 24 to 70 like 2.8, it's a 24 to 70 V4. I got in a client's like production kit that I bought when I took over their media. Another great thing, I look for bundles all the time. People that got into the hobby that just didn't use the equipment enough, professionals that are getting out of the career. There are so many different things, but one of my number one easiest pickups is when our clients bring over services. They no longer need their own equipment, so I offered either money for that equipment or a stipend towards their bill. To be $1 billion in debt because of lenses and cameras. It's okay, you know, Sony is. Another big, huge fear of mine is when flying drones at any event. One of my biggest mentors in life, he told me, it was my first big wedding. I had 3 pilots beside myself there. There were 2 other photographers that weren't part of my team. I had 2 photographers and a videographer with me. So there was a big production. It was a 350 person wedding. It was on top of this gorgeous mountain, 2 mansions, just beautiful overall experience. And I was really stressed. One of the biggest things I was stressed about was flying 4 drones over 350 people on top of a mountain during a wedding. Crazy stressful. The bride and groom were okay with the noise of the propellers and the drones, so that wasn't so much of a stress. But something bad happening or not getting a right shot was a huge stress of mine. So when I explained this to a mentor, he was like, listen, you got all your ducks in the row, you know, what's the worst thing that could happen? You fly the drone right into the bride's face, blinding her for life, scarring her for life. They sue you and you're bankrupt and you owe them money for life. And I'll be honest, that fear wasn't on my plate until that moment. And that fear has never left my plate. Every time now that I fly a drone at any event, that statement from my mentor just goes through my head as I'm putting on the propellers or putting a battery in or turning in everything on it, syncing it. I'm like, dang, I could really accidentally fly one of these things into somebody's face and blind them forever. So that is a huge stress, and I try never to really focus on that stress and to just focus on, we're going to do a good job, I'm going to have a great deliverable, and it's going to be a great day. Those are the things I say right before I launch. And thank God I've never crashed into nobody's face or anything, you know, but most of all, their face. So although it's a big fear and big stress, it's not one that I've ever had to endure. Is this a better seating position? Do y'all like me in this position better? A big desire that I feel like a lot of photographers and people, artists in general, that I run into is the fear of not ever being recognized for your work. And I don't know if I've ever had that fear, mainly because I've never been recognized for things that I wanted to be recognized for. So generally I don't care. But since I have started photography and videography, more people compliment me on that than anything else. And generally it used to be bikes and riding that people would talk to me or be like, hey, that's crazy, you know, what you're doing. But anymore, the more I produce and the more I put out there, people recognize. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for the fact that it brings me happiness when people are like, hey Dan, like that was a cool video, and I'm like, thanks man, I put a lot of time into that I appreciate that. Or like they think my photography is great, so they hire me, or any number of things. I'm just grateful, and that all comes from posting as often as I can. Everything I kind of create, unless the client is like, they don't want that out there, I'm putting that up, you know. I'm gonna, my hair, it just keeps going in my face. Do you see this, people? You know, it's a wonderful life we live. But even more than that, I am grateful for all my clients, all the ones I get to be a part of their lives and experience something great with them. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I get to act like a weirdo in the woods and record content to create marketing, to grow my business even more. And that's all it is reaching as far out as you can, because not everybody needs your services, but there are definitely people out there that need your services. So the more you get out there into the world and just put your product out there, the more you will sell. And the best businessmen I've ever met are the ones that don't leave you alone until you've bought their crap, you know? And usually that's not the best way to do business. But there's a photographer, a homeless photographer, that stands at the top of the art museum steps in Philadelphia. His name's Frank. He's been there for the last 4 years that I can remember, and he takes your photo with your phone for $5, $10, or $15. It depends how rich he feels you feel out, you know? When I told him I didn't have cash, this homeless man told me he had Venmo, okay? So don't ever take no for an answer. A homeless man with Venmo is outselling all of us right now. I'm just telling you, you know? And I mean, Frank has been there for 4 years taking pictures with a camera he don't own, and he is still profiting somehow because he's still there every day. Rain, shine, I'm pretty sure he lives somewhere there. He just got a nestled out little cave at the art museum, and that's cool because he doesn't take no for an answer. And yes, we should always respect and appreciate the client, but never surrender. There's always a client out there that wants your services. They just don't know how to accept it yet. So, and I always suggest to sell to your friends and family, but don't be that guy to them, because they definitely reserve the right to say no, because you got to eat Thanksgiving dinner with them and Christmas, and there's just so much to unpack there. I think like the thing I'm most grateful for is because we get to bring this hobby into anything. I don't even have to solicit to my friends and family. I just bring the camera around, and it's more of my friends that end up purchasing than my family. They're, you know, everybody's family is family. We won't say the other word. You know, freeloaders aren't family, but you get my drift. But the friends that aren't freeloaders, they see your stuff, they promote your stuff, they push your stuff, and those are the people that have the connections with your future clients, your friends' friends, your family's friends. All those people need a photographer, and you're going to be the one they pick. Isn't it beautiful out here? Like, so nice. So nice. And I love when it's nice out, because like you get to kind of go out and enjoy the fruit of the labor. Like most people right now, it's Monday and it's like 12:30, so they're stressing where they're going to get lunch, or stressing that they have to be back in work because lunch is over and they only have 3-4 hours messaging all my past and current clients that aren't contracted and offering them a 25 to 50% discount on our services depending on the client and the service. So to just kind of retain a whole bunch of business. So today I spent a lot of money, but today hopefully will be one of my bigger grossing days out of the year, and I haven't even made or worked yet. It's just locking in that business. So and that all comes from getting up and putting forth that little bit of marketing and stress, because I don't know where the money's coming from. You know, I have to make it come from somewhere. I have to find that new client. I have to find that new adventure or new event. I've been listening to birds and animals and the water running behind me. And after I'm done this, I might even set the camera up on this beach down here and record down by the beach. I haven't decided yet. But I'm grateful that no matter what, it's the freedom of my choice. It's the freedom of my choice whether I got up today and I hit up 12 restaurants or went and door knocked. There are so many different options that I get to kind of make myself that I wouldn't and haven't been able to make working for somebody. So I'm grateful that I make my own way, and I'm hopeful that you guys use some of this material to make your own way too, because the world would be a lot better and I feel like a lot cheaper if the big brands weren't a thing, you know, if everybody was everybody. But then, you know, I don't know, I kind of think we wouldn't have as many cool things, but at the same time we might have a way bigger variety of things because so many different people are entrepreneurs and working on their own thing. Let's talk about some photography, videography stories. Okay, so the number one thing that I've had as a struggle or a stressor is getting friggin' paid, dude. There is no right or wrong way about it other than getting paid or not getting paid. And I don't failures on my part was I did contract work for a company called Petite Four, owned by a guy named Jason out of like Chicago. His company was a kind of like a temp staffing, third-party labor kind of setup. So what he would do is he would secure the wedding contracts and then he would send them out for a bid for a photographer, videographer, freelance, whatever. And at this point in time, for me, I was training my team, and I wanted everybody to kind of get more hours doing weddings and events that weren't necessarily Philly FPV events. I wanted them to get trained, but not a great opportunity. Yes, it was half our rates, but it was what he had and they had said to be 5 to 10 weddings a month, which if you aren't in this business, that's a good amount of gigs a gig. Within 24 hours of the gig, they would send you the first half. And then a month, 30 days after the deliverable, they would send you the second half. So that was a little scary. We went from half the normal rate to quarter of the normal rate up front, which if you were a couple and you were coming to me, I would take a 25% deposit and then 75% before the wedding and then 25% upon deliverable. I did anyway in the beginning. Now I don't, for a few other reasons. But now Petite has us down to a quarter. And then you get the other quarter at the end. So I was like, okay, you know, golly, we're down to like $30 an hour. Okay. That's bad. That's scary bad. But still 5 to 10 jobs. So I say, okay, give me the next 4 jobs you have. All the jobs go great. You know, a little stressful for, it seems like the clients, they aren't having the best communication from this company. And I personally am so in my own head that like, oh, that's what you get when you don't pay full price for a photographer. Like, when you cheap out, you get a cheaper service. Luckily for them, they were getting my service, so it wasn't a cheaper photography service, just a lack of communication and assurance that they were going to get a good day, which is huge. That's a huge part of signing a contract with somebody, is you want to know that the product you're getting in the end is going to be good. So I want to say we did 7 weddings for them the first month. And when we got done that first month, I sent them an invoice for the first job. And they came back with the invoice and they needed to adjust some few things. So we adjusted. It was the first time. And ever dealing with billing with any client, especially a national client, it takes a little bit of a curve to kind of get their billing understood so that you can invoice them correctly. So I wasn't too stressed. It took like an extra week, but still no payment. So we're running on a week, and I'm like, hey, I have 2 more events coming up for you guys, and I have yet to get paid. And they were like, oh, we're processing it. And I was like, we're over a month. It's time to be processed. Here's where I stand. And this is where you have to kind of be effective and stubborn and stand your ground. I said, listen, you have 2 more events coming up for me to cover this weekend. I have the availability and we are booked to cover them, but I am unable to cover them if I don't receive payments for any past jobs. We need to clear out before I can just add on. Faith, and then we can figure out the rest. And they did that. They covered the first one, so they sent me over $400. That was what it was. And they didn't cover the other 2, so I was okay with that, because I was going to hold the media from the next 2 jobs until the last ones were paid. And that's always something you can do as a photographer, videographer. You can watermark your product and deliver it, and it's really unusable if you put a giant watermark across it, but they can understand that the product's there and it's good without the watermark. I didn't even do this. They weren't worth my time. I got back and I said, hey, it's, you know, now Wednesday, I haven't heard anything from you guys. Let's settle up that stuff. And the first rebuttal they came back with was, oh, we didn't see the upload from this weekend. And I said, yeah, I know, we're still processing the media. I didn't want to tell them that I wasn't going to send it. I just, you know, kind of gave them what they were giving me back. You know, I said, oh, I'm still processing it. It takes time for our department to get through all that. And they said, okay, they had a couple of questions with a couple of things, just some minor BS that they were just trying to push this off just as much as they could. And go out, and they were like, oh well, we haven't gotten the upload from the last event. And I was like, that's irrelevant. We're still working on the first of the 2 out of the 3 events we covered for you guys. We still need payment for that. And I blatantly put my foot down and I said, we are not able to go out of state for the next job without full payment. You guys they were a little over $6,000 on their invoice sheet for us. So I said, you need to square up at least half. So send over $3,500 and we will cover the next 2 events this coming weekend. And she said that's just we can't do that. That's just not possible. Our billing has closed for the week. It closed on Thursday. It's only open on Friday. Just a whole bunch of nonsense. And I said, well, then there's nothing we can do. And then she said, you know, I'll reach out to my supervisor and I'll see what we can make happen. Within an hour, that $3,500 had hit our bank account, and I messaged them and I said, thank you. We will be out at your events. So a lot of back and forth, and now I'm kind of understanding that this company, you have to kind of push them to pay you. And this was my first experience with this. Mainly pushing to get the money that I had already worked for. Which was tough. And I want to always have exactly like what I've set out done. I shouldn't ever have to chase that money. Nobody should. Just like if I agree to do something for you, you shouldn't ever have to chase me down after you pay me for me to do that for you. So I had one of these conversations in the car next to one of my crewsmen in my production team on the way to an event, and he was like, why not just do it, and then you know, they'll pay. And I was like, not necessarily, because they haven't paid yet. And he's like, well, you wouldn't not cover somebody's event. And I said, yeah, of course not. Like, we are currently on the way. Like, they don't know that, but we're currently on the way. I would never not cover somebody's event. Fast forward 2 months, I didn't cover somebody's event. And I offered. I gave them every last chance, the client directly, not the third-party company. But I gave the client the chance, and they took it upon themselves to make this smart move and document everything and go and choose a totally separate party to book with and cover their event. And that was smart. But that had ended the contract with me. And it was coming on a Virginia wedding right near DC. I live in Philadelphia, so that's about a 2.5-3 hour ride. Nothing big, but it's a ride, not one I'm gonna do for free or the hope of getting paid. So as I get to the date, I'm still waiting on money, and I message. The woman's name was Michelle, head of accounting, and I messaged her and I said, hey, our payouts receivable are a little over $9,000. I'm gonna need at least $4,500 in order to do the events for this weekend. And she said, that's just unacceptable. We have 2 weeks left on some of those jobs. We need more time to process. This is the contract you signed. And I said, well, the contract we signed was voided as soon as you went a week over payment on the first job. Now we're just kind of in limbo at whatever you guys decide you want to do. So this is how it is. If you would like us to cover that event, this is the rate. This is how much we need up front. And that is what the end result is going to be. Nothing, we haven't added on to your rate, but we need the money you owe us now. And hotel stipend, because all the other jobs I drove to and then came back, I wanted as much money out of this time as I could, because I knew that this was going to be the last time they were going to pay me. Because I was going to put my foot down and I wasn't going to this event. I just wanted as much of the $9,000 that they owed me as I could get. And they said, the best we can do is $3,700. Makes no sense. They just pulling numbers out of them. And I said, okay, well, I'll accept that. Plus, I'm going to need half of this weekend's jobs up front and hotel stipends for both, which were $150 or $200 a piece. And then driving for both, which was $100 a piece, which a little over like $1,700. Now, mind you, she still owed us $5,000. So they sent over the 17, and then I contacted the person that the wedding was the next, and we were talking. And I said, listen, I haven't been paid for your event yet. The company owes us a lot of money. I would suggest to you to reach out to your company and tell them that they need to pay their videographer for the event. And they did that, and Michelle reached out and she threw a fit and she was like, how dare you? And I said, listen, there's a lot of money you still owe us. So pay up and we will go cover it. And she said, I can't do this, I can't do this. And I said, okay, well, I can't. And she said, but we just sent you $4,000. And I said, well, as you see, I said earlier, if you didn't send me at least $4,500 out of the $9,000, we wouldn't be able to cover. So I had to milk you for almost what it was. And unfortunately, you just couldn't come to bat. So I've instructed the client that I can cover it, but I have to be paid. And they said, no, no, no. So the next morning, I called the client and I said, hey, we never received payment. So you can call them and see if you can touch base, and they can wire over a couple more $1,000 for us to come cover your event. Or I would suggest putting a stop payment on your credit card and contacting another photographer. And they did just that. They put a stop payment on their card and they contacted another photographer. Now, this company went bankrupt for doing this nationwide, screwing over photographers, videographers, and vendors, clients, because people like me didn't give up the media unless it was paid for by either the client or the contractor. So there were couples that paid this company, that the company swallowed the money, never paid contractors like me, and then the couples never got the media, and then the media was ultimately destroyed. Now, for a lot of unfortunate couples, that was the case. My couples, we save everything. So I'd offered to all my couples, you can purchase out the remaining invoice debt of your date for your media at the cost of whatever they had left on their tab. About half of them opted to purchase it and have it edited by us, and then another half just said no, and asked for the media for free. And I said, unfortunately, no, we can't do that. And they asked how long it will be saved, and I said 2 years. It's coming about 2 years, and you know, some of those people, they're just content with, I don't know. It's a shame all around, but that is one of the biggest stresses. So the way I've done to eliminate the stress of chasing around money that I've already been made is I don't leave my house till y'all pay me. I've never not shown up. I've covered over 800 dates. Never not shown up. Have not gotten paid. Have gotten paid, and then Visa took the money because they disputed it on their card. And I don't know if any of you have ever disputed with Visa. They don't give a shiitake mushroom about us. They want to keep the client who spends all their money on Visa happy. So I've had to file court reports and bring up charges on people that haven't paid me. but I have yet to never show up. So now, I don't stress about money. If you don't pay me, I don't come. Somebody's gonna pay me to come and capture their event, and they're gonna get great event coverage. But if you don't pay me, I don't come. And for some people, that does work. For some, it doesn't. But I know that that's just great business 98% of the time that way. Sometimes they don't like the deliverable, and we gotta argue and kind of come up with a resolution of what we can do to make them happy about their deliverable. But I don't leave my house. And I'm gonna end on that note because it is getting cold and I am hungry. And I think my lighting is going away. And I kind of do still want to film on the creek. I think it'll be a good shot. Okay, so stay right there. What's up, everybody? So I'm gonna make this quick because it's super cold out. I just wanted to come and show you this creek. I often fly here. I think it's cool because like the water makes it a little bit more sketchy, and I think that the adrenaline and the fear keep my skill honed in. The more I push my limits, the better I get. So when I get to come here with other FPV pilots in the area and other drone pilots in the area and really kind of push my bike is literally falling over in the sand. I'm grateful that I get to come out and enjoy the weather and the nature around me, because like legitimately I am sitting in the middle of a creek bed right now filming a reel and a YouTube video. Ain't like, I don't know what can get better than that, other than I'm gonna go have some chicken de filet right after this, and hopefully get warm because I'm freezing. I think the best part about the gig is it is what you make it. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful that I get to make it what it is for me, which is waking up on Monday and doing my marketing, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday playing catch up on life and equipment and back end, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday really hitting it off with events and activity and making that moolah come in, you know. So I'm grateful for all the connections and people I've met and been able to learn from along the way, and just be part of like their lives in general and what's going on with them. I think, oh man, I just can't beat the sound of the water. Can you? Just listen to that. It's right over there, the whole creek, all over there. I'm trying to keep my fingies in my pockets because they cold. You can't tell this in the camera, but it's a nice chilly 50 degrees out in Philadelphia right now. And I was only hoping to be out here for like an hour, but I'm running like 2 hours on the timeline at least in this camera right now. So I'm gonna like quickly do absolutely nada, you know? So hey, if you like drones, if you like photography, if you like videography, come and join in on the fun. We got club events happening every month. There's always stuff to do in the fall risk, you know, lifestyle, whether it be events and things to capture. There's always something going on. I want to thank everybody who comes out to all our events currently. It's great to see the community come out to create something amazing and special and new. I'm grateful for all, you know, the clients who I've gotten to work for over the years and capture amazing things. And I'm excited to see the next batch. So if you or anybody you know needs something captured, needs something created in the media land, we cover it all, whether it be photos, videography, drone, events, weddings, marketing. If you're starting a company and you need media and digital marketing, we make websites, we need captured. All right? And we will set it up. That was terrible. So many bloopers. Every time you guys, I set up a camera, I just get all the bloopers, whether it be my bike falling over in the sand because it can't stand up, or, you know, me falling over in the sand because I can't stand up. There's always a blooper on this friggin' camera, so enjoy the blooper reel. Insert reel here, you know? As many times as I pack the sand never gets stronger. It only gets weaker and the bike falls lower and lower to the ground. It's terrible. I hate it. I hate it. Then I go run into the